I think I can, I want to start by how to, like, why there's poor communication and the impact. Because when I went to women's leadership course, it was back in, but way back then, and we were doing a lot of activities, and one of the sister told me that I don't communicate, and it frustrated them, and I wasn't aware of my poor communication. But I think it stems from the fact that we're not trained to communicate effectively in high school, and second, there could be a lot of trauma. So for example, if you were bullied or if you have some type of trauma, you may hold onto things, like you don't want to communicate. So sometimes we just don't say how we feel, we don't confront, um, and we say something that we don't mean to avoid conflict or all that type of thing. So a lot of time it could be from trauma and lack of education, I think.
I would
How
say
about you?
personally, it comes down to as well being accepted. So
Yes.
if you look at natural nature, we want to be accepted into the community, and we're afraid to express something that may not be agreed by the community, which may ostracize us. That's our fear. But now that we have grown up and we lock ourselves away, we forget to communicate, and that how important communication can be. And it depends also on culture. Culture too. There's so many different rules and regulations. Like Japan, I noticed, is one of the hardest. In China, you can't express yourself. Some of the things you try to express is illegal or not taught, or the family members as well will teach you not to say those things or do those things because you want to stay in the community or in the country that you've grown up in. So that makes a big change.
I think so. Culturally, especially growing up in Japan, I learned to be indirect because being polite was more important than telling the truth. And I think throughout the whole process of learning to speak the truth, I noticed there's a lot of like blockage. I have to really overcome all the blockage. I think it's, I wouldn't say, I don't know, it's called throat chakra or something. It's stuck. Um, it was hard for me to speak the truth. Like I always, this was before, but I used to always bend the truth so I don't hurt that person's feeling, or I would want to get external validation or want to be accepted, and I fear rejection so much that I couldn't speak the truth. But obviously that backfired in so many ways. I couldn't trust myself after, because if you just keep like bending the truth, you become trust not like untrustworthy to others but also to yourself, right?
Like when did you realize it and how did you change?
Okay, so I realized that I was being inauthentic of when I was communicating, and that I started to notice the cost of not being able to communicate effectively, so um that ruined my relationship. Because when we over exaggerate or twist the truth, people know,
Yeah.
you know, and
And
that,
especially over time too.
yeah, so that ruins my relationship with others, and it also ruined my relationship with myself. So I start to notice the detrimental impact of not being able to communicate effectively, which is telling the truth, being honest, and telling the truth with emotional intelligence. There's a way that you can tell the truth in a really immature way, and you can also tell the truth in a mature way. So like learning that, um, and I would say it all comes down to who do you want to become.